The Miami Hurricanes just got a technically sound physical cornerback from one of the premier high school programs in the entire country, Damari Brown. Welcome to the U.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Alex Donno, your host. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much for sticking with us here on Locked On Canes all throughout early signing day. I know that there have been some twists and turns along the way, but overall, it's been very, very good. And we've got a new signee to welcome to the University of Miami family. I didn't have any doubts. I don't know if you guys had any doubts. Damari Brown, four-star cornerback out of American Heritage. He chooses the University of Miami over the Alabama Crimson Tide. Fantastic, fantastic football player. This is as polished of a cornerback out of high school, maybe outside of Cormani McClain. Oof, do I really need to bring that name up right now? Damari Brown, so polished coming out of high school. American Heritage, it's why I said it in the opener, one of the premier high school football programs in the entire country. It's really an NFL factory and just a factory for high-level college football Power 5 players, especially at the cornerback position. They get developed so well at American Heritage. Damari Brown, he is at his best when he's in your grill playing press man coverage, mano-a-mano, one-on-one. Damari Brown is going to win those battles. He's got long limbs, can make plays. He's physical, 6'1", about 185 pounds. He can still, I think, even add some quality weight to that frame. I think he's going to be an absolute staple in the University of Miami defensive backfield for years to come. And I love the fact that to make that transition into collegiate football for him, he's going to get to do it with his older brother. Isn't that so cool? How many sets of brothers now, how many siblings this Miami Hurricanes football team is going to have next year? So Damari Brown, and I thought Mario Cristobal said it best today when he had his late afternoon media session. They didn't recruit one to get the other. Like, they recruited these Brown brothers independent of one another. Obviously, they're thrilled to land them both. But Davonte Brown, the older brother of Damari Brown, is a player that Miami wanted and coveted in the transfer portal, whether or not Damari came. Miami would have happily taken Davonte, even if it didn't lead to landing Damari, because Davonte Brown, who is not as highly touted of a recruit coming out of American Heritage as Damari was, excellent player, but he hadn't developed the size quite yet. Damari Brown, I guess, hit his growth spurt a little bit quicker than his older brother did. You know, it took Davonte, I guess, a couple of years off at UCF to develop the sort of size and physicality that Damari already brings to the table. But, you know, Davonte Brown, he's been very, very productive at UCF. Before he hit the transfer portal. You know, he's started over 30 games with the Golden Knights, and this is not a player that they wanted to lose. So he's a plug and play guy, right? I mean, Miami brings in Davonte, who's got 2 years of eligibility left. I predict he's going to end up in the Hurricanes starting defensive lineup next year. I think he's going to lock down one of those starting cornerback spots. And Demari is not too far behind him, folks. This guy is a playmaker. He's technically sound. He doesn't make mistakes on the field. Quite the contrary. He's making plays on the field. I think this is a huge, huge get for the University of Miami. So welcome to the U, Damari Brown. And yeah, Miami's defensive backfield, it's looking pretty sweet, regardless of what happens with Mr. McClain over the next couple of days. We're certainly going to talk more about that. We've been talking about that a lot, though, throughout the day here on Locked On Canes. But what I want to do on the other side is I want to take a look at Miami's 25 signees out of high school to this point, because just about everybody has now, except for one, has signed their national letter of intent and has made it official. They are on their way to the University of Miami, and about 20 of these 25 are going to be early enrollees, which is fantastic because you want to get in January. You get a head start on what the classes are like and campus life, and you get to participate in spring football. So it's great that most of these guys are going to be early enrollees at the University of Miami. We're going to go through the class. I'm going to give you my thoughts. And guys, did you see the incredible commitment video from the Mauigoas today? We have to talk about that here on Locked On Canes. But we always have to talk about the amazing folks at BetOnline. BetOnline.net, guys, make this your spot. I'm on the website every single day. They're giving me the edge that I need to win my bets. It's your number one source, BetOnline, for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball. Yeah, we've got it all at BetOnline. If you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. So the mid-late afternoon, it wasn't only Damari Brown's commitment, which was huge. Miami lands the 4-star corner out of American Heritage. But we also had, around 4:30, 5 o'clock, we got the commitment video from the Mauigoas. Yeah, we got multiple siblings coming in. I love it. Like Mario Cristobal said it best. If you love your brother, you want to play with your brother. If you don't like your brother very much, you get a chance to hit him on the football field in practice every single day. So, we've got the Brown brothers, Davonte and Demari. We've got the Washington twins, Bobby Washington and Robbie Washington. And we've got the Mauigoa brothers. They put out, I don't even want to try to describe it because it was so cool. I'm going to try to describe it, but I'm going to do a terrible job. If you haven't seen the Instagram video that the Mauigoa brothers put out there, it's one of the most incredible commitment videos I've ever seen. So, of course, they're Hawaiian. And so they're out there like at a beautiful kind of sunset twilight scene somewhere, Hawaii, all the palm trees and stuff. And the Mauigoa brothers, they're literally juggling. They're juggling spears of fire. Like there's fire coming out of both ends. They're juggling them, and it's really incredible to watch. It's like, wow, that coordination. It's like Donatello from the Ninja Turtles swinging the staff around, except there's fire on both ends of it. And then at the end of it, they lock their hands together in the U. And so, Miami's got both Mauigoas coming. Francis Mauigoa, 5-star offensive tackle out of IMG Academy, originally, of course, from Hawaii. And his older brother, former high school teammate, Francisco Mauigoa, who's was a really productive linebacker at Washington State. I've had a chance to watch some of his film, and it's really good. He's coming in the transfer portal from Wazoo. And so Francis and Francisco both announced in a joint video today. Francis signs his national letter of intent. Francisco officially signs through the transfer portal. So you've got the Mauigoas, you've got the Washingtons, you've got the Browns. Let me go through Miami's recruiting class to this point. 25 University of Miami signees have signed their letter of intent. I mentioned Mauigoa. Talk about him on the field a little bit. He's a grown man, 6'5.5", 330 pounds, rated the top offensive tackle prospect in America by 24/7. And what makes Francis Mauigoa such just an incredible prospect, not only does he have grown man strength already at 18 years old, he's got versatility. He can play right tackle, left tackle. He can play guard. He can play center if you really needed him to. He can play all 5 positions on the offensive line, and he doesn't seem to have an ego. Like if Miami needs him to plug in at another position, like when he's a freshman, hey, if you have to be a guard to get more playing time, I think he's going to be perfectly willing to do that and perfectly capable to do that. And Miami's next highest rated recruit is another offensive tackle, the second best offensive tackle in the entire country, probably the most bubbling personality in the entire class, the pancake honcho, Samson Okunlola. I don't know if he can play guard or center the way Francis can, but he can play tackle as good as anybody. I mean, he's a beast, 6'5", 305 pounds, very, very graceful and very, very strong. He's called pancake honcho for a reason. He specializes in pancake blocks. He's going to put you on your backside. Miami's got Ruben Bain in the class, 4-star edge rusher, really should be a 5-star out of Miami Central. Ruben Bain, you could argue, might be the best high school football player ever. He's got 50 sacks in the last couple of years. He's won 4 state championships in 4 years at Miami Central. One of the most productive edge rushers in the country. Ruben Bain is the absolute real deal. The reason why he's a 4-star and not a 5-star is he's not that tall. He's 6'2", 250. If he was 6'4", you'd be talking about a 5-star. Jaden Wayne, another edge rusher who probably should be a 5-star from IMG Academy. Elite edge rusher. And it's somebody, Mario Cristobal. He's from the Pacific Northwest, but he, came over to play at IMG Academy. Mario Cristobal had been recruiting Jaden Wayne since he was, I think, like after his 8th grade or 9th grade season when Mario was at Oregon. So it was a long time coming with him. Jaden Wayne, a beast of, Malik Bryant is the next one on my list. I Ron Burgundy that one. I read the same name twice. What? Malik Bryant, outside linebacker out of Jones High School in Orlando, 6'2", 235. This guy has unbelievable explosiveness and speed. He specializes really rushing the passer. So he could play edge. He can play linebacker. He's just a talent, an absolute talent. Riley Williams is one of the top tight ends in the entire class. I think he was the 4th rated tight end in the class. Another IMG Academy guy, Pacific Northwest guy that Mario used to recruit at Oregon. He comes to Miami. Miami did lose a tight end from this class in Reed McKeska. Riley Williams is going to make you forget about Reed McKeska pretty quick. This is a stud. Robert Stafford, 5'11". It's funny because usually when they list the height of a high school player, like they're usually a little generous. I've met Robert Stafford in person. He felt every bit of like 6 feet tall, yet he's listed 5'11". Like, this is a big dude. I think he's going to be one of the sleepers of this class. 4-star cornerback out of Melbourne, Florida. Ray Joseph, wide receiver. This dude is a human pinball. He's so hard to tackle. He's so explosive. Ray Joseph, he's going to give you Roscoe Parrish, Santana Moss type vibes at Miami. This is going to be an absolute playmaker in the slot at receiver. Defensive lineman Collins Achampo, another 4-star. This dude has all the potential in the freaking world. 6'7", 254 pounds. He grew up in Ghana, only came over to this country over the last couple of years, so he's probably a little bit raw compared to some of the other pass rushers out there. But he's really smart, really hardworking, really dedicated, and his measurables and his athletic tangibles just jump off the charts. As long as you develop this young man properly, he's one of my favorite players in this entire class. Collins Achiampong is, I think, going to end up being he's going to end up being an absolute stud. Like, I don't want to be like I don't want to make any comparisons to, too many the other greats out there. I don't want to be unfair to the guy, but I think Collins Achiampong is going to end up being a great one at the University of Miami. You got Popo Aguirre at linebacker, 6'2", 220. He's from Fayetteville, Georgia, but his father is from South Florida. His father was a student, like a high school student of Alex Mirabal years ago. So that family connection to the Miami offensive line coach is part of the reason why Miami was able to recruit Aguirre so effectively. We talked about Damari Brown, Bobby Washington, who recently got his 4th star, well-deserved linebacker out of Miami Central. Robbie Washington, incredible player. Robbie and Bobby are out of Miami Palmetto. Sorry. Robbie, they jumped high school. So I'm like, wait, which school are they from? They were from Killian before. Bobby Washington and Robbie Washington, his brother, the wide receiver, are going to be great ones here. Antoine Jackson, Action Jackson, the safety out of Fort Lauderdale Dillard, 6 foot, 170 pounds. He actually reclassified. He was supposed to graduate high school next year. He's coming to the U a year early. I know Colorado and ECU were trying to flip this guy late. He sticks with his Miami commit. I'm so happy he did. Mark Fletcher, man, it's crazy how Mark Fletcher is one of the top recruits in the country, yet he's like 11 or 12 highest ranked Miami commits. That's how good this class is. 4-star, 6'1", 225-pound bulldozer, well-rounded running back, can also catch the football well out of the backfield, can also block well Mark Fletcher from American Heritage. He's coming to the U. Miami gets another 4-star running back, Christopher Johnson. Speed freaking demon, Chris Johnson. Track speed, home run hitter. He's like, I think he's like a higher ceiling version of Jalen Knighton because he's even faster than Jalen Knighton was. Robbie Washington, the twin brother of Bobby Washington, 4-star wide receiver. He's going to be electric at the University of Miami. 5'10", 185, going to be great in the slot at the U. He's a playmaker. I'm going to go through the rest of these quickly because Miami landed 3-star defensive lineman Joshua Horton, flipped from North Carolina to the U. Miami got interior offensive lineman Tommy Kinsler from Ocala, Florida. Florida Gators were after this guy hard. He committed to Miami. He's a really, really good, versatile offensive lineman, can play all 5 positions on the line. 3-star quarterback Emory Williams is a Miami Hurricane. Really, really cerebral, very good arm, good passer, a lot of potential. I think he's going to be great at the U. 3-star tight end Jackson Carver, who, if he didn't become a high-level college football player, could have become a high-level lacrosse player or an ice hockey player. He's also a pilot, like really good, well-rounded athlete, 6'6", 220. Antonio Tripp, interior offensive lineman out of IMG. Tripp, I respect you and I appreciate you, my friend. This guy is the heart and soul of Miami's recruiting class. He is an evangelist for the University of Miami. This guy committed early, and he's been preaching the Hurricanes gospel to all of the other recruits throughout that process. And he's also a dog on the field. Excellent offensive lineman. 3-star linebacker Marcellus Pulliam out of Sandy Creek High School in Tyrone, Georgia. Excellent player. Caleb Spencer. Mario Cristobal was saying great things about him. I think he's going to be a safety at the University of Miami. They list him as a linebacker, but I think he's going to be a safety. Frankie Tinalau, offensive tackle. Definitely watch out for Frankie Tinalau because he just has so much raw potential, specifically identified by Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal as a guy that they wanted to work with and develop. Grew up in Australia, playing rugby. Very little film playing American football just this past year at Miami LaSalle, which is not a premier program, but this is one the coaches believe can turn into something special at the college level. And Miami's got a punter, another Aussie punter. Maybe he can be Lou Headley 2.0. Welcome to the U, Dylan Joyce, okay? So, guys, before we wrap it up, those are Miami's 25 signees so far. I don't know what's going to happen with Cormani McClain, but I do know with or without Cormani, this is an unbelievable recruiting class. It's a top 4 recruiting class right now in the entire country. I hope Cormani ends up signing his national letter of intent to Miami. From what I understand, Coach Prime in Colorado made a very, very late, very, very hard push that started maybe last night into this morning, Wednesday morning, where, they're trying to make him an offer he can't refuse. So we'll see if he refuses it. This is what Coach Prime, and listen, I'm not knocking it, like whatever, man. Coach Prime, do what you got to do. You want to make a splash 2 straight years. Coach Prime is basically like, hey, who's the best corner in the country? All right, let's go get him. It worked last year, with Travis Hunter. Get me the best defensive back in the country. We'll see if they can make it work this year with Cormani McClain. I think, based on what I can gather and what I've been told, I think Cormani McClain is going to end up signing with the Hurricanes after all. But I make no guarantees, right? Because when you go through the trouble of not showing up to your signing day ceremony and waffling for an extra day, there's obviously something going on there. So we will see what happens with Cormani McClain. And when something does happen and when I learn more about it, you bet your butts we're going to talk about it here on Locked On Canes. So stick with us throughout the rest of the week. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.